Welcome to Season 9, Episode 25 of the Ubuntu Podcast. It's Tuesday, the 16th of August, and we're going to discuss what's been happening in the news and in the community. I'm Mark, and joining me this week are Alan.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, Alan. Laura.
Hello.
And, of course, Martin.
Hello.
So, Alan, what have you been doing since last time?
So I have been playing with, after the Fosstalk Live incident, where we talked about old computers from the past and stuff a little bit, and you mentioned to me, after I said that my Palm TX PDA, which I said the only reason why I put it away was because it didn't work on modern WPA encrypted networks, and you pinged me on Telegram and said, hey, there's this patch from some guy at HP. So I downloaded that patch from that guy at HP, which is actually a complete new firmware for the device, and I flashed it.
Oh, really?
And it works. It actually works.
Wow.
I put the firmware on an SD card, and I just tapped on it, and it ran it and installed it, and then now I have a Palm which connects to networks, and I can use it as a PDA. It's brilliant.
Awesome.
When you say new firmware,
Well,
how new?
Newer than the one that I had on there. But still 10 years old.
Right.
So there's 10 years lost when you could have been using it.
And the magic is that now I can do network hotsync to my Ubuntu desktop, which is running 16.04, from my Palm PDA connected to my wireless network, and I hear the magical sound of of the hotsync when it synchronizes to my desktop. It's brilliant. I love it. So yeah, I got that working, and I really thought the battery would be dead, so I actually ordered a replacement battery on eBay. But it turns out the battery lasts ages. It's been days and days and days that battery's been charged. It's brilliant.
yeah, the batteries in those just last and last.
Even
old battery that's been sat in a drawer for literally 10 years. It's still working, so I'm happy. That's what I've been doing.
Great. Laura, how about you?
I've been playing Pokemon Go.
We
Hey,
gotcha.
welcome to the fold.
No, I got them.
Oh.
I got them all.
What level are you on?
6, I think.
More importantly, which team are you on?
I've not decided yet.
Oh,
Three.
Sky Blue.
Well, you're supposed to pick one that's like popular near you or something, but I can find 3 of different colours, so I couldn't decide. Maybe I should go for blue then.
I have no idea what colour I am.
Yeah.
I think I'm yellow. Is yellow a colour? I think yellow's a
Yes.
colour, isn't it?
Yeah, yellow's the rubbish one.
It's the rubbish colour, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
The guy who
No one-
sits across
no one
from me
picks
at
yellow.
work's got yellow. He's got a sticker on his laptop.
Well, that's dedication.
Oh,
So-
brilliant.
Yeah. So I've not done masses with it yet, but I've been collecting some Pokemon and found some local Pokestops.
What else have you been up to? Yes.
Me? Oh, I've actually been using the command line.
Oh, but you don't really use the command line.
Ah,
You
yeah.
told us.
Have you loved it?
I use it a lot. I just don't use it regularly for anything.
Oh, I see.
So there's nothing that, tips and tricks aren't that useful to me. I've actually been using it to use Git to keep track of the scripts I'm writing for my statistical analyses.
It's for your PhD.
Yes. I've got about 3 sets of data, but I'm running a lot more than that number of analyses, and a lot of the analyses are quite similar to each other.
Right.
So I'm refactoring to try and make them less duplicated.
Is this in R or a similar language?
No, I quite like to learn R, but that's a step too far at the minute. I'm using SPSS
Oh, right. Yeah.
syntax. But today I had a slight breakthrough in that I worked out how to use Python with it. So by the end of today, I managed to get in a little sample test file. I could declare the variables of, say, like the name of a file in one file, and then call the actual syntax in another file, so that I could insert names into the script that I was running. And then I could reuse the same script in lots of different places, which I don't think you can do with native SPSS.
Cool.
So I was very pleased with that. So tomorrow I've got to go through everything all over again and tidy it all up.
Great.
But I'm learning a lot, which is good.
Excellent. Right. I guess we'll get on with the show.
And now it's time for some news. So Google have been developing a new operating system they've dubbed Fuchsia. I believe that's because pink plus purple equals fuchsia.
Yes.
Makes as much sense as anything.
That's all the description
That
there
makes
is.
total sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So come on, what is it?
It's not Linux.
It's not Linux.
No.
Yes. They've made a custom kernel called Magenta.
I think
Pinky?
it's derived from the Little Kernel project.
What is that?
Well, I didn't know about it until I read about this today, but there is a project called Little Kernel, and Magenta appears to be derived from it or inspired by it or something.
Right.
Okay. It wasn't pink enough.
Yeah, this hasn't actually been officially announced yet. It's in their Google code place, not Google code, the Google source, where they have their internal open source projects, and then a mirror appeared on GitHub with all of these components and build instructions, and people have been speculating wildly.
Yeah. Or it could just be a play thing.
So is it? It's. Did you say the code's been mirrored? Is that actually code that you can look at?
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
yes.
I've had a poke through bits
It's a
of it.
public repo.
The stuff that I looked at was the kernel, the architecture specifics for the kernel. That's MIT licensed, and there was architecture support in there for ARM32, ARM64, and x86 64. And there's large gobs of it implemented in assembler. So
Right.
I kind of lost interest at that point.
Yeah. And then there's other components there which look like they're BSD licensed, so none of this is copyleft.
Yeah.
Martin
there's
knows assembler.
Yeah, well,
Only when it's controlling office workers.
Which I still found weird.
But yeah, so there's been various speculation from tech news sites that this is going to be targeted at smartphones, but also scale up and down and in and out of various devices. And one brief snippet from IRC from a Google developer suggested that there's going to be Raspberry Pi. I don't know whether there's going to be a Raspberry Pi image or just compatibility with the Raspberry Pi 3 at some point.
So far, there have been numerous projects which have stated they are going to have a Raspberry Pi version, and none of them have ever materialized. So we shall see. I've not seen a single project yet, that's been commercially announced that's come to the Pi yet. It looks as though this is definitely aimed at devices with screens and graphics output, because I was looking through some of the slides and there's a lot of detail in there about how the stack is arranged and how the GPU interfaces with the layers further down the stack. So everything I saw had graphics in it. There was some speculation that it can also be used for embedded devices.
Okay.
I'm sure it can, but everything I've looked at, it looks like a graphical.
Is there any reuse at all in this, or is it
touch and
all
gesture.
completely like brand new from scratch? There's no like surface flinger or any of the other bits that you'd get in something like Android.
There are, so I haven't looked that carefully, but there's a number of, there's a third-party directory which has got heaps of stuff that I recognise the names of, all of the common libraries. It looks like it's only being built with Clang, possibly. But I didn't see Surface Flinger, I didn't see Wayland. So I
must be Mir then.
Carefully to see what the display server is.
Moving on.
So, more Google news. Chrome will de-emphasize Flash in favour of HTML5.
Oh, is it 2009 again?
It is. In an announcement from the Chrome developers, they say 90% of Flash on the web loads behind the scenes to support things like page analytics.
I did not know that.
I'm not so sure that that's an accurate statement, to be fair. They're probably in a better position to know than I am. But
I guess that depends on who... I mean, it may well be 90% of like everyone, but if you like 90% of my kids' web visits are vastly Flash-based games. They're not websites that have Flash trackers like Spotify does. They're just like games, and those things aren't going to get replaced overnight by HTML5.
No, and my daughter's use of Flash Online is all of the websites that are made available through the learning portals from the school. All of that educational material is implemented in Flash. So it does say that it goes on to say something like, in December, Chrome 55 will make HTML5 the default experience, except for sites which only support Flash. So I wonder if, because originally there was this announcement about like these are the 20 sites that were going to be whitelisted for Flash or something. Or have they done something clever where they've looked at all of the sites they've got indexed and determined which sites have a majority of their content delivered through Flash, and it will automatically whitelist those? Because my only concern is that a lot of educational content is going to become inaccessible on Linux specifically.
Yeah, but I would imagine it can be, there'll be a switch you can flip and say,
they've said it's
going to work on, if they determine that the vast majority of Flash on things like CNN or, sites like that is just for web bugs and adverts and things like that. And actually if they know that CNN and other like high Alexa ranked sites also have the ability to serve up video and content over HTML5 style tags, then fair enough. But, the things that are interactive stuff, which is, I'm pretty sure you can determine that. I think you. They have
and
an
said that'll be
archive
click to play as well.
Right.
So they said it'll be HTML5 as the default experience, but there'll be if there's Flash only content.
I remember us talking about a story where I'm sure it said something like, from a date in 2017, Flash just wasn't going to work anymore. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a listener can fill us in on what we've forgotten. Maybe this is a step
towards that.
Oh, that would be good. It'd be nice if it just went away, but unfortunately it won't, because you've got sites like Newgrounds and so on that depend on it.
And next up, Intel has demoed its Alloy merged reality headset.
You can see your hands.
Yeah.
Does it look like a toaster that you wear on your head?
A little bit.
Okay.
It looks like a toaster with a camera on it
and
that you wear on your head.
Is merged reality Intel speak for augmented reality or virtual reality?
It's meant to be a sort of combination of the two, sort of. So the idea is it's like a headset with screens in front of your eyes, like the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive and all the other new hotness that we see. Nearly got that out in one go. But it also has depth sensing cameras on the outside, which pick up nearby objects such as your hands and then project them into your virtual environment, so you can see your hands within your virtual environment and interact with objects around you.
Those misleading promotional photos of people wearing VR headsets whilst they type on a keyboard. This is actually going to be a viable,
yes,
reasonable.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the Microsoft one allows you to do that. The HoloLens is see-through, so you can see your hands anyway. You see your real hands, not a virtual representation of your hands, but your actual hands, for better or worse.
Yes. So that's more of an augmented reality thing, I think the HoloLens is meant to be. It's meant to have digital content overlaid on the real world rather than bits of the real world in virtual content.
And I understand that Intel are designing these, but they're not going to sell them themselves.
Sounds like they're going to license it out to manufacturers.
That's pretty much the way with Intel, though.
Yeah, see how that goes.
Moving on, Microsoft has accidentally, leaked the golden keys that unlock every Windows device. Oh, dearie me. Did anyone see this coming, perhaps?
Wasn't this just inevitable?
Yes.
Yes.
Sooner or later.
I think the answer is yes, it was.
Yeah.
So in the same way that it was inevitable that you'd be able to 3D print TSA luggage keys, it was inevitable that this would happen.
So, is this a terrible thing?
I don't think the sky's falling. It says the keys allow hackers to unlock the boot system on Windows devices, including tablets and phones, allowing any OS to be booted. So from our perspective, arguably, this is potentially a good thing, because we can take those machines that were problematic to install free software on and maybe install free software on them. So that from one perspective, that's a good thing.
And it doesn't make Windows any less secure than any of the others in that sense, because the others don't have that option in the first place.
The others being?
Other non-Windows OSs on non-Windows devices.
Yeah, we support Secure Boot on other devices as well, yes.
So how does that work?
I don't know.
Differently.
So that I think that you have like a bootloader shim which is signed by Microsoft, which then loads the like grub or whatever bootloader we need to load Linux. But this basically means that shim doesn't now need to be signed by Microsoft. You could just extract the bits you need to unlock the bootloader and have it self-signed, and that can be whatever you want then.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could then potentially be something malicious, but only if you've gone to the trouble of, as I understand it, of extracting the data that you need from your device and unlocking it in the first place.
It's only really an issue for Microsoft on their homegrown devices, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing that amused me most about this was not, the facts of the case, but the way the release was done. Normally, these kind of things, there'd be a CVE, or there would be a text document, or if it was like Leet Hackers, there'd be a paste bin somewhere with a bunch of text with a bit of ASCII art at the top and the bottom, and haha, we got you, you suck, and all this. This one is a website that's got like a 80s, 90s demo scene style chip tune music and a flying star field with the text.
It's like an Amiga cover disc.
It is. It's very much like that, and it's lovely. And I feel I wish we should have more things like that, which devices would boot into these strange, 80s. Well, I'm showing my age now, but yeah, demo scene style things. We should have more of that. I approve of that.
What's demo scene?
It's a group of people who create demos. They're like showing off their prowess at manipulating the computer to do things like display really cool graphics or play really good music. And often they're given a limitation. They have to do it in a small amount of space. Like there are contests where they have to get it into 4 kilobytes of space or 16 kilobytes of space and get as much like entertainment into that amount of space. And there are big demo scene parties. The big one is called Assembly, which I think was recently actually. And there are thousands of people who go to events like that, and they create demos and they have contests and they show them off, and it's really, really cool. But that's completely
on the Amiga.
The actual issue.
On the Amiga, you used to get like your floppy disk on a magazine, and you'd have like a menu with the 3 or 4 demos it had on it. It would also have one of these as the menu. You'd have some cool animation and crazy music playing while you selected your game.
Oh, that kind of DVD.
The best place to go if you want to have a look at some demos and see what they look like is pouet.net, pouet.net, and browse. And there are people who still make demos for Sinclair Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amiga, PC, like everything, and Game Boy, everything. They'll make demos for anything.
Awesome.
Yeah. Moving on.
Wow. Ryan Sipes, one of the founders of Mycroft, is leaving the company.
What happened? Is he going away to form Nextcroft?
Well, he doesn't detail specific reasons for leaving other than to pursue other ventures. And he says, of course, Mycroft is a GPL3 free software project, so regardless of what happens to the company, next Mycroft or whatever could carry on with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you can read between the lines from his blog post, really, that it smacks of the same as you alluded to, Mark, the own cloud, Nextcloud thing, that maybe there was some disagreement in the direction of the company, and that's a shame. And I do hope, and I've seen, I looked today at the Mycroft Kickstarter, and there are already, comments on there from people getting a bit upset that stuff hasn't been delivered yet, and lack of communication. So I hope it doesn't all completely fall apart now, but continues to move on.
Mycroft has been one of the coolest looking open projects for quite a while. So it would be a shame if it didn't manage to deliver.
And Google is moving Hangouts on Air from Google Plus to YouTube Live. Is it more news of the death of Google Plus? Is they're moving
pretty
to
much.
YouTube Live?
But will
don't kill Google Plus.
But will it be easier to manage accounts? Probably
Well,
not.
actually, I think it might be, because it'll all be within YouTube. So it won't have like two completely different platforms. You've got to have.
Nobody gets their channels banned on YouTube.
They're trying to get the things all connected.
So you do have to have a non-banned channel to be allowed to do
There
that.
is that, yes.
Oh, well.
I tested it out today. We did our Q&A using it. The regular Q&A that we normally do via Google Hangouts, we did in YouTube Live, and it was basically no different. It was a slightly different UI to set the thing up, but once it was set up, it was exactly the same as a Hangout on air. So, yeah, I don't think it's a big deal.
Sort of makes more sense, really. And finally, Seagate have announced that they will be producing a 60 terabyte SSD for data centers.
I have a data center here that I can fit in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got one on my laptop.
This is a 3.5-inch drive, 60 terabytes, and by comparison, the previous largest one I'd seen was Samsung's, in quotes, gargantuan 15 terabyte SSD. And that cost $10,000. So if we extrapolate, we can assume this is going to be somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 for this drive. And you only need 17 of them for 1 petabyte of storage, which in itself is pretty amazing. So the density is astonishing.
And it's 3.5 inch, like a floppy disk.
No, 3.5 like a desktop hard drive.
Yeah, like a desktop hard disk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway. Let's move on.
Okay. And now it's time for community news and events. First off, we have a post on OMG Ubuntu, which refers to a post by Yoni from the design team at Canonical about a new converged terminal app design. This is a blog post that Yoni did to highlight the design work he's done to redesign the terminal that started life on Ubuntu Phone. And it's been redesigned, and he's iterated over the design that was already done with myself and the community of Core Apps developers, and it looks really cool. It looks really nice.
Cool. So this will mean that on the desktop it'll have more the kind of features you're used to seeing in GNOME Terminal, I guess, will it? Yeah,
because the at the moment it's really basically the phone terminal. If you run it on the desktop, it feels a little bit out of place. It feels like a phone terminal. So they want to, bring it up to speed so it feels like a desktop terminal. And it's written in QML, so if people want to get involved, contact me, basically.
Ooh.
What I found interesting about this story is that some of the features that have been identified as potential improvements, these were things that were discussed. If you remember at the beginning of the year, I went and did a usability study. We interviewed Ting Ray. Some of these things on this list are things that we discussed whilst I was there doing that usability study. So I'm really pleased to see some of these things, because 2 of those were definitely things I was nodding enthusiastically at when I was like, yes, we definitely needs to do this on the desktop.
Excellent. It's nice to see that feedback come round.
Yeah, that's my point, is that I feel like I was definitely heard, at that event. Yeah,
cool.
It's great.
Excellent. Will it be able to drop down from the top of the screen like Tilda does?
If you provide the code to make it do that, then of course it will, Mark.
QML.
She's welcome.
Next up, Canonical's Kevin Gunn has posted oh no, I'm reading the wrong article. I'm sorry. You can, that one's later.
I don't know what you're reading.
Anyway, no, I'm miles away. You can run XApps on Ubuntu devices now. There was a post made to Ubuntu Insights, which actually linked to an article from last month, written by, I think, a developer, not certain, but how to use Libertine to create your own wrappers for XApps to run them on Ubuntu for devices.
What's Libertine?
It's a tool to create containers effectively of an application, a legacy X application that can run within Ubuntu for devices. And we'll link to the article that's got a step-by-step walkthrough about how to exercise Libertine and create these containers and seed it with your application that you want to run.
Is this something to do with how you managed to get Mate working on Ubuntu for devices?
Initially, no, but I have been looking at Libertine as a way to streamline and deliver that in a more correct way. So yes, I've been researching Libertine a little bit.
Cool. Next up, there is a Mir interface now in Snapd. Mm-hmm. So the Mir server snap can now be downloaded and used in a fully confined mode, along with a matching Mir client snap.
As announced by Canonical's Kevin Gunn.
As announced by Martin a few minutes
ago. So, isn't a Mir client just an application that displays a Mir window?
Right, but in the snappy world, so you have your application that you're snapping, and your application is confined, has no access to anything unless you grant it access through what we call interfaces. And so there's an interface that allows you to connect to the network, and one that allows you to connect to maybe a camera if there is one that allows you to connect to X11. What this interface does is allow applications to connect to Mir. So gives them like a tight tunnel from the application directly into the Mir server, so they can display stuff if they're Mir capable. So a Qt application, for example, could display apps, display Windows, a Mir server.
So what does it mean that there's a Mir client snap?
Well, I think this is what that's just saying is, for example, you could have a Mir client.
Oh, I see, right.
Some kind of snap, which is a
not
client.
A snap called Mir client. No. Sorry, I was misunderstanding. Well,
Okay.
Yeah, there probably is a demo like Mir client snap.
Yeah.
But what it's saying is,
along with any matching, right,
your application could be a Mir client. Yes,
excellent,
which is cool.
So
and that's one of the
potentially.
Of Snappy is we need to keep adding interfaces. Every time we find a place where an application doesn't work because it's blocked off from some access to something, whether it's USB ports or the display or whatever, we have to add these interfaces. And so it's really just talking about the fact that the interface was added for Mir.
Cool. And this is one of the things which was needed to allow Ubuntu for devices to use snaps.
Yes.
Yep, and the Unity 8 desktop as well.
Yeah, excellent.
Dustin Kirkland has published a 6-part series on his blog about Ubuntu-On-Windows, so you can learn from the beginning what the point of it is and what you can do with it and how, and become a happy little camper. I think compiling everything into 6 or 7 different languages.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like a tour of the using the development tool chains, the Linux development tool chains under Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice idea because
nice.
There's been loads of posts all over the place and not really consolidated in one place. And because Dustin is one of the people who worked on this, it kind of makes sense for him to consolidate everything into a bunch of blog posts to give a one-stop shop for, okay, what is this new Bash on Windows thing? How do I use it? And this kind of covers everything you ever wanted to know, I think.
It seems pretty clear and accessible as well. So give it a whirl.
In security news, Linux kernels prior to 4.7 are susceptible to TCP session hijacking. That sounds catastrophic. What does it mean? There's a CVE and it's published on the Ubuntu security page. And as with all security updates, there'll be a patch that goes out to the affected systems. I don't think every release of Ubuntu is affected. I don't think every kernel version is affected. There are some that have some mitigating circumstances that mean they're not affected. But yeah, the security team have a window in which they usually do these updates. I think it's a 3-week window that they work on the patches and then they do the testing and then it gets released. And so I'd expect this to go out in a couple of weeks.
-A. Oh.
You're not going to get a 4.7 kernel to fix this, though, Laura. You'll get a backported patch and a point release to your existing kernel.
So yeah, we'll put the link in the show notes, obviously, but it lists which are the affected kernels. I mean, to be honest, it's no different than any other security update. It's just yet another security update. It's just one that was interesting, I think.
And finally, in the community news, there is a community vote to get ZTE to make an Ubuntu phone.
Yeah, it's interesting. As a community member who posted, the ZTE have one of these community-like brainstorm type sites, which is like, what should we do next? Tell us what. And obviously they get the unicorn phones that people request. Give me one that's got an infinite battery life and a giant screen and 3,000 cores and a terabytes of RAM and all that kind of stuff. But they also get a few interesting nuggets of suggestions that they should do. And one of them was from a community member who said, hey, you should make an Ubuntu phone. And it got a bunch of upvotes. And OMG Ubuntu picked this up and wrote a story about it. And I've seen comments on Reddit and elsewhere about this, and I read the idea, and it seems like a great idea for them to diversify into other operating systems. But interestingly, went to the site today and it's gone. The idea is gone. The idea lives on in all of us, of course.
At the time of recording, it was there this morning.
Oh, really? As soon as that?
And it's gone. Yeah, because I read it this morning.
Interesting. So I've sent a message to the guy who created it on Reddit, and we'll see if we get a response. And I'll maybe we can put that in the show notes if he gives us an answer by the time this show goes out. But at the moment, we don't know why that's dropped off their page.
Curious. Right, now we've got some events. First up, we've got Linux, easy for me to say, LinuxCon North America, which is also ContainerCon. This is where developers and sysadmins and architects and all levels of technical talent gather together under blah, 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 blah. It's on the 22nd to the 24th of August 2016 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And we'll have a link to the event in the show notes because it is very long.
I think there are some Canonical people going to that, which we'll be talking about.
I'm sure there must be.
Snappy and IoT and all kinds of interesting stuff.
Probably LexD as well. ContainerCon.
Yes.
Yeah.
ContainerCon should be Kong.
File a bug.
There's two ways it could go. One could be like a Can-Can themed event, and the other could be something more like a security conference. I'm not sure. Anyway, so Wuthering Bytes is at Hebden Bridge in West Yorkshire, England on the 2nd to the 11th of September. And it's a week-long festival of technology in the heart of the Pennines. And stuff's happening there.
Cool.
Looks good.
Yeah. Barcamp Manchester is a 2-day unconference for you to share your knowledge, inspire people and learn new things. It's at City Labs in Manchester, England from the 24th to the 25th of September.
Oh, we've got some more. All these are new.
Yes.
Right, we've also got the Teletext and Digitizer Festival.
That sounds awesome.
The Ultimate Digitizer Celebration Me Do. It's at the Centre for Computing History in Cambridge, England on Saturday the 1st of October. And maybe the day after if people meet for breakfast. Who put this in and what is
I
this?
Did. So
come on then,
there's been an interesting resurgence in people interested in teletext and people having retrospective, because there's a couple of projects on GitHub recently that have come up. One which allows you to interpret signals from pre-recorded shows on VHS tapes and extract the teletext off of them, and another one which allows you to do the opposite, which is turn your own content into teletext pages on a Raspberry Pi out through the composite cable. So it's all very interesting, and there's a lot of people interested in this kind of stuff, so I thought I'd put it in there because it's coming up soon, and it's at the...
Fantastic.
Yes, it's in Cambridge. And finally, CLSX Europe is the Community Leadership Summit for Europe 2016, which brings together community leaders, organisers, managers, and the projects and organisations that are interested in growing and empowering a strong community. It's in London on Sunday, the 16th of October, and we'll put a link in the show notes to where that is. And that's the end of the community news.
We love getting your feedback, so please send it to us. Even the pointlessly mean stuff makes us laugh. If it's short, tweet us on @Ubuntu Podcast. If it's less short, but please no essays, email us on show@ubuntupodcast.org. If you'd like to discuss some of the things we talk about with other listeners, post on our shiny new subreddit at reddit.com/r/Ubuntu Podcast. Or you can just leave a comment on the relevant show notes on our website, ubuntupodcast.org.
That's all for episode 25. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week when we'll be discussing 25 years of the web, and we'll bring you some command line love.
Ooh. I just remembered. Did you see the dinosaurs on Robot Wars a couple of weeks ago?
I did see the dinosaurs on Robot Wars.
That was the dinosaur I programmed.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Well, partly of it.
That's awesome.
I made it do the sequence.
That was Lucy Rogers, who we...
Yes.
Is that her name? Yes. That's who we interviewed. She's one of the judges.
Awesome. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.